oil and gas engineering, so that we are able to take advantage of the local content bill that we have. The next slide is the new campus of the University of Health and Allied Sciences in the Volta region. That is it. Yeah, that's it. So this is the new campus. I commissioned it recently, and it's already fully in use. We also have the lab of the Petroleum Engineering Department at the Kwame Nkrumah University. That is the top and bottom. And then we have an oil rig simulator. That's the next picture. But then, if we're to make progress in education, then we need to emphasize on practical skill, hands-on training, because the job market is changing, and it's changing in Ghana too. We held a stakeholders consultation between industry and business and academia. It was sponsored by the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Employment and Social Welfare. And the result that came out of that consultation was that the business people were not looking to take fresh graduates and go and invest in training them because of the mobility of labor. You invest in training the person, and then he gets attracted by a higher salary after you've trained him, and then he moves on. And so they want government to meet them halfway by doing the training, and then they will employ and then add the additional training that is needed to make the people proficient. So it means that we must focus on technical and vocational training more. In our day, I mean, when we came out of school, the grammar school kind of education was preferred. I mean, the length of your degree and how you rattled the brothel was what was most important. And unfortunately, the industrial climate is changing, the world of work is changing. And so we are shifting the emphasis onto vocational and technical training. And so many of the secondary schools that we currently have are secondary technical schools that allow the children to take the technical courses. We also have decided to convert the polytechnics into technical universities, following on the example of what took place here in the UK and also in Germany. The polytechnics were converted into technical universities, and so they emphasize on technical and vocational courses. And I've said that with the conversion we're doing, they should continue to stick to their core courses, which is technical and vocational. We don't want them to come and mimic the Legons and other universities. We already have those are established universities. They have good courses in humanities, and Legon is my alma mater. We have the University of Cape Coast, we have the University of Education, training teachers and all that. We want these polytechnics converted into technical universities to focus on technical and vocational courses, including engineering and science-based courses. And so youth literacy, which is the next slide, you see that Ghana has attained almost 80.5% in youth literacy. By the time our generation die off and our children come, we'll probably hit 100%, in youth literacy. And that's because more children are going to school. In our day, I'm sure that the number of children who were enrolled in school when I was 6 years old would have been about 30%, maybe 70% didn't have the opportunity to go to school. So literacy, youth literacy is rising. We believe that a strong and resilient healthcare system is essential for progress, for our country's progress. And so health is one of the major areas that we have targeted. We introduced, the National Health Insurance scheme was introduced. But the point is, if you have the National Health Insurance card and you don't have the facility to utilize the card, then it becomes useless. Because it would amount to the same thing. Even if you had a card and you fell sick in Bole and there was no hospital in Bole, then it meant that you had to travel to WA which is 1.5 hours drive away, the cost of traveling to work and coming back would just be as much as if you had paid for the health service itself. And so we realized that one of the major constraints to quality health, access to quality health care, was a lack of facilities. And so we started to work on the teaching hospitals. And so currently we are working on 2 teaching hospitals. We're working on 4 regional hospitals. And we are currently building 14 new district hospitals across the country and over 30 health centers. We finished 5 polyclinics in the northern region. We finished 5 polyclinics in the upper west region. We finished 5 polyclinics in the Brong-Ahafo region. We've done 5 polyclinics in the western region. Currently we're doing 10 polyclinics in the central region, and then we're doing another 5 polyclinics in the greater Accra region. All this is meant to increase access. And during the State of the Nation address, I brought a lady from Nkrankwanta in the Brong-Ahafo region. She had had her second child, and she had had a second child through cesarean section. And the first child, for the first child, she had to be moved to Domahinkro Hospital to be able to have the child. And so she had a child by cesarean section, and then she was brought back. When it was time for the second child, luckily for her, we had opened one of these new polyclinics in her hometown. And so she didn't need to go to Doma anymore. When it was time to give birth, they just moved her to the polyclinic, and she underwent her cesarean section, and she survived. She had a child, and she had her baby. I visited Techimentia recently, and we've opened a new polyclinic there. The advantage, one of the advantages of making increasing access to healthcare is the dwindling maternal mortality. And when we went to Techimentia in the Brong-Ahafo region, for the whole of last year, they had only 1 maternal death. And so it means that more women are surviving because they have access. If you don't put up these polyclinics, then what they do is they're tempted to have the children at home. And anytime there's a complication in giving birth at home, you are likely to lose the mother and child. And so as we increase the access to quality facilities, it makes it possible for the women to deliver safely and bring down the rate of maternal mortality. Last week I cut the sod for a new polyclinic in Gumwada Rompong. That's part of the 10 polyclinics we're building in central region. And I'm sure there are some people from Gumwa here. Well, we cut the sod. It's a 30-bed polyclinic with all the features. I call it a mini hospital because it's got an operating theater, it's got a delivery room, it's got a maternal ward, it's got a children's ward, it's got a male adult ward, it's got a laundry, you know, it's got a treatment room, injection room, everything. It's got a nurse's quarters and all that. So that is being done. We're also building what we call CHIPS compounds. These are small community health improvement compounds, manned either by a nurse or a medical assistant. This is in the very rural areas where we cannot build a whole hospital. And so we have a standard CHIPS compound that has an outpatient, small outpatient place. It's got an observation room, it's got the consulting room, and then it's got a small place where the nurse lives. So the nurses normally live, those who man the CHIPS compound live in the compound. So you can go there at any time at midnight and knock, Mami nurse, yaba, and then they treat the little sicknesses, you know, malaria and all these other simple illnesses. And their instruction is that if there is anything complicated or major, they must refer immediately to the nearest medical facility. And so we built 1,260 of them, and we're continuing to build some more. I've asked the district assemblies to also build, while central government is building, every district assembly is also being asked to build 2 a year. And we have 216 district assemblies. And so if we're building 2 CHIPS compounds a year times 260, that's 432. And so if we keep building 432 CHIPS compounds every year, in the next 10 years, almost every remote village should have a small medical facility that is able to provide service. I'll rush through the next slides quickly. Health training institutions, we've increased health training. These include nursing training colleges, physician assistants training colleges, and so many of them. We've increased them to 95. As at end of 2015, there were 95 of them. And the student intake has increased to 23,000. We've also done the National Medical Equipment Replacement Program that has replaced 40 X-ray machines, MRIs, ultrasound scans and other things in the various hospitals across the country. We realized that many of the hospitals, had been supplied X-ray machines, but they had broken down. And so, for instance, if you took my constituency, Bole, we had a broken down X-ray machine. And so, if anything happened and the person needed an X-ray, they had to go to WA to take the X-ray and bring it back to the doctor in Bole. And so Bole is one of the hospitals that received a new X-ray machine. And so the X-ray machine is working. There's an X-ray technician there who's doing the X-rays right there. And so if you go to Bole Hospital today, it has its X-ray working. And this is just an example. We did it for all medical facilities across the country. It included CT scans, MRIs, and all kinds of other equipment. We also launched the Onuado program. This is a medical outreach program. It's a mobile mobile clinics on wheels. That's clinics on wheels. There are some remote areas where the people have no access, and it makes it difficult for them to be able to have access to quality health care. So we introduced the Onuado mobile clinics. That's the picture of them. And two are for clinical work, that is to give medical care for various sicknesses. And then we have two for ENT, and so they go to the rural areas and they check the hearing of the people, and then those who have throat infections, or if you have sinusitis like I have, then they check you. Then another two are for ophthalmology, that is eye care. And so they go and check the eyes of people. If they have eye infections, they give them eye drops. And if they need glasses, they give them, lenses. And so there's an ophthalmologist on each of them. And then a final one is a mobile dental clinic. And so they go to the rural areas, and if somebody has caca or something, they extract it. And they also they fill the teeth, And so this is mostly to the rural areas where if you didn't go there, they wouldn't have access at all. And so that's happening. There are the other bigger projects that we're working on, and these include the Rich Hospital. There's a map. We have a map where various projects are going on, but we'll move on to the Rich. This is the Rich Hospital. It's a 420-bed hospital. What we realized was that all the regions had regional hospitals. But Accra didn't have a regional hospital because Kolebu had been there for a long time. Kolebu is a specialist hospital. And so it's a hospital of last resort. It's supposed to be a referral hospital where all the smaller health facilities encounter major diseases they can't deal with, then they move it to Kolebu. But people were treating it as the first port of call because there was no regional hospital in Accra. And so it was decided to upgrade the Rich Hospital into the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. And so the first port of call for various illnesses will be here. And then if they need extra care, that is specialist care, then it's possible for them to refer them to Kolebu. But with the quality of equipment that is being put here, it would also become a specialist hospital, because if we can attract some of the specialists to move to the Rich Hospital, then there will be no need to do referrals to Kolebu. It will help to take some of the burden of Kolebu. So this project is ongoing. And then we have the University of Ghana Teaching Hospital. It is work in progress. What happens is Kolebu has hosted the medical school for a very long time. And it was decided to move the medical school, to the Legon campus and leave Kolebu as a specialist hospital, so that those who are teaching the medical students will use the University of Ghana Hospital as their medical school. And so that project is quite advanced. This picture was taken quite some time ago. This is the Maritime Hospital in Tema, and is being funded by GAPOHA to improve healthcare in the Tema area. Then in Kumasi, we have the military hospital. We've had only one military hospital, 37, which was built in colonial times. It's been expanded since then, and we decided that we should have a second military hospital in Ghana, and Kumasi was chosen as a site. And so the work is currently ongoing. That is Then we have the police hospital. This is the police hospital. Work is ongoing. I'm sure you know the old police hospital. Work is ongoing. Then recently I commissioned one of the district hospitals. We're doing several district hospitals. So for those of you who come from Dodoa, Shaiwo Sudoku, when you go home, you'll find this beautiful edifice. It's completed. We've commissioned it, and it's working. And it's got accommodation for medical personnel, and it's got all the features of a major hospital. It's got surgical theaters. It's got maternity ward, delivery room, everything. And the good feature about this hospital is it produces its own oxygen. And so they don't buy oxygen. They create their own oxygen. The next slides are just some of the things that have been done. You've seen them on your door already. Then this is the there are some units in Kolebu. We have the CT scan machine at Brongahafo. I told you we did the National Medical Replacement Program. Yeah, amongst the machines that were given at the Brongahafo Regional Hospital in Sunyani, they have a CT scan machine. At first, if you wanted to do a CT scan and you were in Sunyani, you had to go to Kumasi to Konfanoche and do the scan and bring the results back to Sunyani. Today, Sunyani has its own CT scan machine. We've done the surgical theater at Kolebu, we've done the ICU. We have also done the pediatric unit of Kolebu. This one. Children who had to be operated upon had to be conveyed to the main operating theater to be operated upon and brought back to the children's ward. But there was a surgical theater in the children's ward for pediatric operations. It's specialized for operations on children. And it had been non-operational for almost 10 years. And so we re-equipped it. And as I speak today, all children's operations, surgeries are taking place in this surgical theater. So let's see, social protection. I'll skip through this very fast. IBAN cards, for people who are 65 years and above, we've introduced a new card that allows them priority in social services. And so if you go to the bank or you go to any public place, you present, I can see those 65 and above. We're all reaching there gradually. If you go to the bank, and there's a queue, you go to the counter and present your bank card and you'll be served over the counter. These are for senior citizens. We're continuing to expand it. So far 10,000 have been captured and have been given their cards. And we hope to double that number and continue giving it. For bus services, if you present the card, you're given priority to board. And other publicly, in hospital, if you go and you present the bank card, you're given priority. We have the livelihood empowerment against poverty. This project was introduced in President Kufuor's time, and it's direct cash handouts to the poorest families in our country. We target widows We target households that have aged people, like grandparents looking after an orphan, you know, because their child has died and left the child, the baby to them. So we target households like that are the poorest. They do a survey and they identify the poorest households. And then we give them what we cash grants to be able to pay fees to make sure that the children go to school. To be able to, we give them NHIS cards so that when the children are sick or they themselves are sick, they can have access to healthcare. And then they have a little money left over for food. And some of them even invest it in some small businesses to be able to supplement the family income. During the State of the Nation address, I gave an example of one of the ladies who had invested her money into a piggery. And so she had started with one piglet, and now she had about 10 to 15 pigs. And so occasionally on market day, she'll catch one and take it to the Bogatanga market and sell it for cash, and then use it to continue to look after the family. Another one had invested in a loom, and so she was weaving traditional cloth. And so when she's woven enough of the cloth, she takes it to the market, she sells it, and she gets an additional income. So that's being done. There are various legislations that we have passed. The Property Rights of Spouses Bill. This takes over from the Interstate Succession Law. Yeah. And then we have the amendment to the Children's Act, the Interstate Succession Amendment Bill, Domestic Violence Regulations, Human Trafficking Regulations, and then an aged bill, a bill to govern treatment of the aged. Then this is my visit to the Wager Leprosero. Father Campbell, I don't know how many of you know him, he is a very popular Catholic priest in Ghana. Very good man, you know, he has such a beautiful heart. He takes care of all these leproserums. He goes around, he canvasses, gets food items and money and all that kind of thing to look after them. And so one of the weekends, Saturday, he came to my house and pulled me out and said, we're going to the leprosero. And so we went there, and he works with some of these people in the t-shirts, but then we interacted with the lepers, and we had a good time. Sports, for those of you who come from Ogwe, those from Ogwe, yeah, we opened your new sports stadium. That's it. You might mistake it for Wembley. This is great. We opened it with a friendly football match with the Chinese under 19 team, and we played 2-2 draw. Atika. Because we built the stadium with Chinese funding. If you went and beat them too much. You can't beat them too much, it's not tomorrow. So that's the new Cape Stadium. Then expanding infrastructure, that is the next theme. Housing is one of the major challenges for Ghanaians. I mean, our housing stock is not expanding as fast as the population. And so one of the major problems you encounter with your staff is staff coming to you and saying, my landlord is rejecting me. I'm supposed to pay 2 years rent advance. I don't have the money. And so one of the things that we've been trying to do is to see how we can expand the housing stock. And we're doing this both by public housing and private housing. And so we've created an environment where the private sector is participating in building, you know, multi-story apartments so that we can accommodate more people. And so this is one of such housing projects that we're working on. The Saglemi housing project is after Dawiga, you go past Central University, and then it's somewhere to your left. We're building 5,000 housing units, mostly apartments. and it's in an advanced stage of completion. But the other private companies that we are partnering with to build housing, we're also building housing for the security services. Expanding infrastructure, water, okay, this data see defense housing, different housing, Tema Development Corporation and all of them. We're also expanding water, access to water. And this is a quotation from the apostle who prayed when we opened the Teshi desalination plant. He says, today we celebrate a great victory over drought and lack of potable water. Today we drink from the sea. We do not only eat the fish God has placed in it. Bless Apostle Straha. But water coverage has increased from about 58% to currently 76%. If you look to your right, that is rural water coverage. It was 41%, and today it's gone up to 76%. And then if you look to your left, that is urban water. It's gone from 56% to 76%. We built a new desalination plant in Teshi, and this is the day we commissioned it. They gave me a calabash. I took the first drink, and then I was offering it to Ni Nungwa to also have a sip. And so that's the day we commissioned it. From 1957 to 2009, 14 million Ghanaians had access to water. From 2009 to 2016, we've added 7 million more Ghanaians with access to clean drinking water. Currently, we provide 109.7 million gallons of water per day to Ghanaians across the country. Some of the selected water projects are the Kwong Water Expansion Project. This is a 40 million gallons per day plant. But it's completed, but we're currently running it at 20 million gallons. And so we have 20 million gallons in reserve. We're expanding the distribution system so that we can send more of the water to people. The good thing about that particular plant is we laid the pipeline coming from the north of the city, because we realized that in Accra, the northern part of the city was perennially water-starved. And so for those who lived in Adenta before you traveled here, you would remember the last time Adenta taps, flowed. And so they had these small tractors, they call excavators, with tanks in them that you had to use to order water. I used to live in East Legon. I moved from East Legon because I didn't have water. And so I moved from East Legon to Jogo. And so that area of Accra was traditionally water-starved. So we made the pipeline come from the north of the city so that they will get the first share of the water before it goes anywhere. So today, if you go to Adenta, the taps are flowing. For some people, they still don't have water because when they built their houses, there was no water flowing, so there was no need to connect the house to any line. And so they are now having to look for where the line is and connect their houses to the water line. But for those that were traditionally connected, their taps are flowing. For those with old pipes, because of the pressure, the pipes, some of the pipes have burst. The first time we opened it, the week I commissioned it, there were fountains all over the northern part of Accra because the pipes were busting and the water was flowing away. Or the pipes had burst, but because there was no water in them, nobody realized. And so when we opened it, a lot of the water was just gushing out. And gradually the water company has managed to get on top of it. We also have the Accra Tema Metropolitan Area Water Supply Project. Currently in Accra, we have exceeded the demand for water. And so we have reserved, for the first time in a long time, we have more water than Accra can consume. But Accra is growing very fast, and so it means that we must be planning ahead. If we sit complacent and say, oh, we have 20 million gallons reserved for Accra, you are taken by events. In 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, Accra would have consumed all that water and will be demanding more water. We have the Sachere Water Supply Project, and so for those from the Kumfi area, this project has been completed. It's completed the supplying water, but we were not able to commission it. In the design, they had done the water a pipeline to carry the water to the populous communities. And then where the water treatment plant is sited, there are some communities around there that they forgot to give water. So they say, you come and commission it and we see what we do to you. We don't get some of this water. So we have to go back to Parliament with a new facility to extend the water to all those in the catchment area of the facility. So that work is ongoing. It's supplying those who are far away, but we haven't commissioned it yet. Until we supply all those around, then we'll officially commission the plant. Then we have the 5 towns water system. That is, I commissioned this one, Chebi, Osunasi, Apidra, Enyinam, Kwabing projects. The old treatment plant had broken down and water was a major problem, especially with the illegal small-scale mining. A lot of the water bodies have been polluted, and so people found it very difficult to be able to get water. And so this project has supplied safe drinking water to the people in the area. So, okay, that's it. This is the desalination plant again. And so if you just go on. I've spoken about housing. I've shown you some of the housing that we've done. We have the Security Agency's housing project phase 1 in Tema. And that is it. And then we also have the new Labadi Villas. For those of you who are children of soldiers and lived in Bema camp, if you go to Labadi Villas, we've put up these kinds of flats to be able to accommodate more of the military families. And there's several other ones we're doing. We're working on many road projects to open up the country and to reduce road traffic accidents, to boost economic activity and bring farm produce to the market centers with ease. And so this is one of the iconic projects we're working on. For those of you who haven't gone home for a long time, this is Kwame Nkrumah Circle. This is Kwame Nkrumah Circle. Kwame Nkrumah Circle is an important area in Accra because it links the east and western parts of the city. And so perennially it has been an area of congestion, very heavy congestion. And so we decided to take out the old roundabout and then replace it with an interchange. And so it's a multi-story interchange. You still have a roundabout at the bottom there, but then you have these additional loops. So when you're coming from Achimota and you're going to Accra, you just go across and then you continue. And then for those going to Tudu and other areas, they take coming from Tudu and other areas, they take this one. Then the long one is coming from Broadcasting House and going to Obichedi Lamte Circle. So you don't have any business with anybody there, you just fly over that one and continue your way. It has a police station, it has a clinic, it has various other facilities. It has a fire station and so many other features in the project. But there are several other projects we're working on. We're working on the Kaswa interchange, Central Region or Western Region. You could spend about 2 hours in the traffic. And so it was decided to put an interchange at Kaswa. It is actually 3 interchanges in one, because you have the main bridge that takes you across the Kaswa market area. And then we have 2 other bridges that allow the people of Kaswa to cross over, from one side to the other, so that they don't come and congest the interchange because they want to cross over to the other side. So if you're on the eastern side of Kaswa and you want to go to the western side, you go over the local bridge. If you're on the northern part of Kaswa, you want to go from the east to the west, you go over the local bridge. And then if you're coming from Accra, you take the middle bridge, which is the longer one, and you cross the marketplace, and then it takes you towards Budumbura, and then you continue from Budumbura. But we studied it, and we need to do some expansion work at Budumbura, otherwise the traffic will go and choke at Budumbura. There are some speed ramps there, and the road is curved. And so you notice that now that Kaswa is getting a bit free, the traffic is choking at Budumbura. So we're looking at that. We've done the Awoshi Pokwasi Road, and many of you might not know this road. when you come from Malam and you're going towards Abeka, La Paz, going towards Abeka, La Paz, when you get to the first traffic light and you turn left, you're going into Awoshi. We've opened up that road, we made it a dual carriage, and opened it up to hit the Achimota road. And so if you're going to Achimota, you no longer need to go past La Paz and get to the Tesano Bridge and then turn left and then go to Achimota. If you're going to Pokwase and all those other places, when you get to Awoshi Junction, you turn left and then you take that bypass and it takes you straight onto the Achimota road so that it eases the congestion at Abeka and Achimota and other places. So that is done. We're doing the Eastern Corridor Road. And the Eastern Corridor Road runs from the northeastern part of Ghana to the south. It comes from Kulungungu, Garu, Timpani, and then you come to Nakwanduri, Nakwanduri to Yendi, Yendi to Bimbila, Bimbila to Tidamanko, or Tidamanko to Nkwanta, to the Pepesu, and then you continue to Jessica and Hohoi, Esikuma Junction, and then it will bring you finally to and then it will bring you to Tema Runabout. Now, that makes it easier to, because a lot of the food products, yam, those of you who like Puna and things, a lot of it is found in the northeastern part of the northern region. And so before, if they were bringing the yam to Accra or to Kumasi, they have to come all the way to Yendi, go to Tamale, and come down through Kintampo, Techiman, to Kumasi, and then continue down to Accra. Now with the Eastern Corridor done, if they are coming with the yam, they just come through Yendi down to Bimbila, and then come out to the road that I talked about to Tema Runabout, and then they're in Accra. And so to make it easier to bring the food products down. We are also designing the Western Corridor. And the Western Corridor will run from Elubo to Hamile, that is in the western part. It will go through Western region into Brong-Ahafo, and then go through part of Northern region into Upper West region. So that if you are anywhere in Ghana, you have 3 alternative routes to travel from north to south. And all these corridors will be interconnected, and so you can move from one corridor to the next. We inherited the Sofo Line interchange. We're working on it. We have largely completed it, but there are still some remedial works to be done. The famous Suhuma Pidra, if insults could kill, I won't be standing before you today. Somebody told me, any time a bus was traveling from Accra to Kumasi and they got to Suhuma Pidra, and the bus was shaking, I'm fooling. I'm sure a lot of people don't remember how the road was before. We've opened it up, and so you can have a smooth ride to Kumasi now. We have Aguna Junction to Elubu, those of you from Western region. It's been done, it's completed, it's in good shape. We're doing the Drabusu to Bodi road. We're doing Takwa, Bogoso, Ayamfuri road. So for those of you who know the Western region well, these are all roads we're working on. Then there's the famous Sola Fufuso road. For those who come from the north, I'm sure you should know when I talk of Sola Fufuso road. This is a road from Ngado Sekejeblema, you know, from colonial times. It has never seen one bit of quota. Today it's opened up and it links, the significant thing is it links the Upper West region to the Northern region, two regional capitals, and yet the road was in such poor shape. It used to take 7 hours to drive from Tamale to Wa. Today you do it in 4 hours. For those who want to kill themselves, they do it in 3 hours. For those who want to kill themselves, they do it in just about 3 hours. But if you drive normally in 4 hours, if you leave Tamale, you should be in Wa safely. So that's one of them. There's a very important project that is taking place, and that's the 5-year Cocoa Roads program. It's a 3 billion Ghana cedi program, and it's focused on 6 regions of Ghana, 6 cocoa regions, growing regions of Ghana.